The second panel is entitled Peripheral Innovation, Policy Pathways for AI Development Beyond the US-China Axis. We now welcome all the panelists for the second session to take the stage. Let's welcome our moderator and speaker, Dr. Huang Kaishen, the director of the Democratic Governance Research Program at DSET. We also welcome our other distinguished speakers, Mr. Lin Hongwen, consultant to Business Today Weekly and author of The Radiance of the Chip Island, TSMC, Semiconductors, The Chip War, and My 30 Years of Journalism. Dr. Jong-hee Park, professor in the Department of Political Science and International Relations at Seoul National University, and Mr. Mitsunobu Koshiba, co-founder of CDOTS LLC and former president and representative director of JSR Corporation. As AI leadership concentrates in the United States and China, Asia confronts the dilemma of dependence versus agency. This panel examines how Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea seek to transform structural asymmetry into strategic advantage. Please once again welcome the second panel. The floor is yours, Dr. Huang.
Good morning. Thank you very much for joining this forum. My name is Kaishen Huang, and I'm the Director of Democratic Governance at DSET. And I think it's really my privilege to serve as your moderator for this panel. And the title of this section is Peripheral Innovation. And before we introduce our distinguished speakers, I just want to take a moment to unpack that title, because I think it really carries a lot of weight. Peripheral innovation, by this, we mean innovation that occurs outside the dominant US-China axis. So when we look at the global map of artificial intelligence today, we see a world that is becoming bipolar. We sort of live in the era of G2. On one side, you have the United States, Silicon Valley. They basically dominate the capital, the algorithms, and the foundational models. They are effectively writing the source code of the future. And on the other side, you have China, which leverage massive data-driven data, government planning, and scale. So in this narrative, Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea are dismissed with a single label, the periphery. So global policymakers see us sort of as a satellite merely orbiting the gravity of the US and China. They view us as rule takers, not rule makers. The assumption is rather straightforward. Washington and Beijing will decide the future of AI, and us, we are just expect to adapt. But today, in this panel, we want to sort of challenge that idea, because frankly, I think it ignores a massive contradiction, what we call the Northeast Asian paradox. And this paradox is this: we control the hardware foundation, but we have almost no say in software architecture. So let's look at the hardware reality. If you strip away the hype, the physical body of AI resides right here in Southeast Asia. Taiwan makes the logic chips that train the models. South Korea dominates HBM that allows these chips to think fast. And Japan controls the photoresist and the critical machinery, without which a fab is just an empty building. So to put it very bluntly, I think without these three countries, AI is just a math equation on whiteboard. It does not physically exist, and we are not peripheral. We are the critical path. But I think we also need to be more honest about our software deficit. While we build the body of AI, we are still relying on others for the brain. We are hardware giants, but in the world of generative AI, in LLMs, in platforms, and in ethics, we are typically followers. So in this regard, I think we are facing a rather unique anxiety that raises two particular questions we want to discuss today. First of all, are we destined to simply be the arms of dealers for the big players? Or can we use our manufacturing leverage to gain a seat at the table where the rules are being written? So I think this isn't just an economic issue, it's also a question of governance. If we don't develop our own AI pathways, our own sovereign AI strategies, we will be forced to embed the values of others into our societies. And that's very much the stake of our today's discussion. And finally, I think, based on what we have just mentioned, this brings us to the other side of the coin, the geopolitical squeeze, which means we are operating in a minefield. As middle powers, we are caught between AI giants. On one side, we see the US pushing for friend-shoring and strict export controls. On the other, we feel the massive gravitation pull of Chinese markets. We are constantly being asked to choose sides. But the question for Taiwan, Japan, and Korea is this: is there a third way? Can we move from being competitors to becoming strategic collaborators? Can we connect Taiwan's manufacturing speed, Japan's material science, and Korea's platform power to sort of create a third pole in the global AI economy? So now, to answer these massive questions, we knew we couldn't just invite observers. So we also needed people who are actually building the reality. So today we have brought together what I call a dream team, representing the 3 pillars of Asian innovation. So first, representing Taiwan, if you want to understand the heartbeat of the hardware world, you will read this man's book. Please welcome Mr. Hong-Wen Lin.
Thank you.
Wait a second. I finish the introduction. So Mr. Lin is a consultant to Business Today Weekly, and he is also a veteran journalist with 3 years of experience. He is the author of a very influential book, The Radiance of the Chip Island. He has documented how Taiwan built its Silicon Shield, and I think he knows much better than anyone that Taiwan isn't just a collection of factories. It's a hyper-efficient, irreplaceable ecosystem. Welcome, Mr. Lin. Next, representing Japan, we are honored to have Mr. Koshiba. Mr. Koshiba is the co-founder of Kodak and the former president and the representative director of JSR Corporation. And for those in the industry, JSR is legendary. Mr. Koshiba understands the invisible power of materials. He knows that without Japan's chemistry, the global AI supply chain will stop cold. He will bring the critical perspective of the upstream choke point in our discussion. Welcome, Mr. Koshiba. And finally, representing South Korea, I think the quality of technology is perhaps the hardest challenge we are facing today. So that's why we have Professor Park. And he is a professor in the Department of Political Science and International Relationships at Seoul National University. Professor Park is here today to help us discuss the complex strategy of survival and growth between superpowers. Welcome, Professor. So to kick things off, we turn first to the view from Taiwan. So Mr. Lin, you have argued that's why we have the Silicon Shield. Manufacturing dominance alone is not enough to survive the US-China hegemony. So we are very eager to hear your roadmap on how we can upgrade our value and build a new Asian community. So Mr. Lin, the floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you. Good morning again. It's my great honor to be here. First, I will thank you, Jeremy, invitation. Yeah, he gave me a very important but very difficult topic for me, but very, very difficult. Yeah, the topic is about how can Taiwan, Japan, and South Korea strategically break through the hegemony of the US and China. Very difficult. But today we gather together here. Maybe we can have some talk, and maybe I can contribute some my views to you. Okay. This is my background. I am double E background, but I didn't go to electronic and semiconductor industry. I just entered the press, the media. You have to trust me. That's another big challenge industry, much harder than industry, electronic industries. And I wrote 5 books. The first one is The Quest of Competitiveness. It's co-authored by with the MediaTek chairman. The second one is UMC, and then HP. And 10 years ago, I wrote a book about Samsung. Right now, I publish a book about TSMC. All right, now the book is translated to Japanese, Korean, and English. Okay, I just have 10 minutes, so I have to move forward very quickly. I say it is very difficult topic for us, but I try to give 2 suggestions. The first one is value up. We all know right now, Japan, Taiwan, and Korea, we just focus on the foundry business and the equipment, material, and chemical, the supply chains. But I think product is the most important. So I will focus on the how to value up, especially on the product. And the second one is about the beyond the US and China, a new Asian community of shared destiny for Japan, South Korea, and Taiwan. Okay. The first suggestion is about, we all know, I can give you a conclusion. Product is king, but manufacturing is servant, just like the picture. Right now, people in Japan and Korea focus on manufacturing. Recently, I was invited to Japan and Korea, and I talked with a lot of people over there, but I just heard a lot about people talking how to manufacture. In Japan, people just discuss how to revive semiconductor manufacturing back to the golden age in the 90s. And South Korea focused on strengthening in foundry business. Right now, they are the king of the memory, but they want to move to the foundry business. But however, product is king, manufacturer is servant. And right now, if you look at the picture of the semiconductor industry, United States hold about 68, nearly 70% of the IC design house. So also dominate more than 50% of the global market. Yeah, and you can see South Korea is about more than 20%, Europe 9%, Japan 8%, Taiwan 6.5%, and mainland China is 4.5%. You know, China is booming very quickly, so maybe I estimate in this year or maybe next year, it will surpass Taiwan. In the IC design industry, like NVIDIA, AMD, Broadcom, Apple, and even Google, they lead the global semiconductor trends, which is the main reason for the US dominance in the global semiconductor market. Yeah. So right now, Japan South Korea and Taiwan all primarily focus on the supply chains, such as manufacturing and equipment materials. However, the US and China monopolize the AI chips and the AI model platform. So you can see this picture is about the AI money machines, okay? But it's just only the United States. It's not in, China is another one. China create their ecosystem. Yeah, but you can see in this picture, not only NVIDIA, OpenAI, Microsoft, Intel, Oracle, it's all included in this picture. So if Japan, Korea, and Taiwan just want to avoid marginalization, the key issues is to not only in maintaining their foundry and the supply chain strengths, but also in achieving success in product development and applications. And this picture is about Asian countries also have product leadership. Yeah, you can see the first picture is about, we all know Samsung and the SK Hynix, they are right now very strong in memory sectors. And also MediaTek is also very strong in the mobile handset chip. Yeah, so product development and applications is not very difficult. Yeah, because I met a lot of Asian people. They just say product is very difficult, but we also have the capability to achieve product leadership. So, and we have to emphasize the product, the value is much more than the manufacturing. Yeah, so Asian countries also have product leadership. Yeah, in the AI strategy, I have to focus on the AI strategy. I think it's very important, very crucial for 3 countries. Yeah, right now we all know when you develop your cars or your robots, if you don't have the AI solutions, that will not compete with the other competitors, just like Toyota or Fanac. If their cars without AI solution, they cannot compete with Tesla, with BYD or the Xiaomi. And Fanac is also the same. If you want to move into the AI-driven smart manufacturing, you need AI solutions. Yeah, so to build IC products is no longer difficult. I can give you some example, like ARM. We all know it's the belong to the SoftBank group. They just provide the solutions for many companies to build their IC. They just like Lego, they can build their products by licensing the IP or the service from the design service companies. So there are many companies in Taiwan. We have R-Chip, GUC, Faraday, Andis, and eMemory. Just like ARM, they can provide very good solution to many companies. So Taiwan has done all these things well. So it's because I just mentioned United States company right now they penetrate 78% of the TSMC revenue. Yeah, that's because they use a lot of Taiwanese expertise. They just use the foundry business and also the IP and the design service, so they can do so well. Okay. The second topic is about beyond the US and China. I have also some suggestions for you. We all know right now, Prime Minister of Japan, Takaichi, now he understands that if Taiwan is in trouble, Japan is in trouble. But we also seen South Korean President Lee, he said, we just say thank you to China and Taiwan if Taiwan Strait has something in trouble, and we just live our lives well. But is that true, or is that nothing related to Korean? I will say we are now a community of shared destiny. Yes. It's entirely unrelated to South Korea if Taiwan is in trouble. Actually, we are now in the first island chain in the Asia Pacific. And the challenge is the same. Okay, so if the Taiwan are in trouble, Japan, Korea will be in trouble. I cover semiconductor more than 32 years. My focus is on industry. I don't like politics, but you know this very clear and very true in right now. And South Korea also suffered China's booming industry. Yeah, I just mentioned I wrote a book about Samsung in the year 2012. At that time, Samsung is very good, but right now, Samsung suffered from China's industry booming, not only in the electronics industry, like displays, memory chips, mobile phones, and also in the traditional industries, such as shipbuilding, petrochemical, and automobiles. So what happened to powerful and uncontrolled China? Yeah, we all know right now, recently, China has imposed many bans on Japan. And we all know the same tactics China has done also to Taiwan and Korea. So a powerful and uncontrolled China will give very significant influence over the neighbors, Japan, Taiwan, and Korea. So we are in the same community of the same destiny. So my suggestion is, to develop transnational research centers and cooperate with countries around the world. Yeah, you can see the two pictures. One is IMEC and one is LETI. IMEC is Belgium and LETI is from France. They are very famous and close international research research centers. I think maybe Taiwan, Japan, and Korea, we can develop this kind of research center. And we also have to expand our relations with non-US and China countries, especially Netherlands, Germany, and the UK, France, and Italy. They are semiconductor and technology powerhouses. And also, we can expand our market share and influence for products from countries outside the US. So I think the third world definition should be redefined. In the past, the third world countries means maybe Africa, India, or other not very developing countries. But right now, the third countries means non-US and China. Maybe the approach for Taiwan, Japan, and Korea maybe is a good balance to the power dynamics between the US and China. So this is my website. I share with you, and the contents will be English, Japanese, and Korean. Yeah, I share my my articles, and I continue to contribute to the same destiny. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, Mr. Lin. So our next speaker is Mr. Koshuba. And Koshuba is going to deal with this topic by focusing on industrial solution. And as we just discussed previously, Mr. Koshuba mentioned the mere focus on innovation is missing the point. Maybe we should talk about security a little bit more. Welcome.
Thank you. In listening to today's conversation, I'm a little bit confused. We are here not to discuss innovation. We are here to discuss national security and democracy, right? That's what we are here for. So I really like to kind of change my story. Something we really have to face some realities. The first one is that, we are at the time of the war already. So toward 2028, I think, all of us, we pretty much face an even more difficult situation. We really have to remember we are in a bad neighborhood, right? Particularly Japan, we are facing to everybody, right? So, but the thing is that the war wars are fought in a different way than before. So it is fought by military and also economy and technology. Those are the war we are fighting for. Of course, we want to contain the traditional war as much as possible, but you never know. But certainly, one thing we really have to face is that 3 countries combined, GDP is only $6.6 trillion. US 30, China's 18. So when it comes to the global conflict, so there is no war, there is no rule. It's a power game. So therefore, unless you have a strong economy to really contain the core agents, we can't survive. So really, the thing here, we're really talking about how, certainly, Japan is really increasing a defense budget, but also, we are betting on technologies, because economy and technologies, they are closely related. If you're looking at, U.S. stock performance, it is pretty much driven by 7 companies, Mag 7, right? All AI companies. So really, they're using the power of digital, right? Instead of using only power of labor or capital. That's what we are moving forward. So in that sense, certainly, if you're talking about future economy, the central piece to the growth is the computation. So that's why, like Japan, we really have to have some, manufacturing capabilities. So we create Rapidus, but Rapidus is not the goal. Rapidus is the only way for us to secure the future resilience. So I'd like to show, this slide. This is really distribution of our GPU resources, globally. 75% of a GPU exists in the US, 15% in China, Japan maybe 4%. So really, at this point, you can tell. I think we're looking at the last earning call by NVIDIA. More than 95% of GPU, they went to US and Taiwan to US. So therefore, this gap is really expanding. US is really having a competition resources. So today we are talking about supply chain, but supply chain will not protect you. The only thing you can protect yourself is to have that kind of resources. So that's so important. So, we are talking about China and the US. Suddenly, US is really taking a, from Biden administration to Trump administration, US is more techno-libertarian type approach. Let the big tech really take, whatever they want. On the other hand, China is really more using AI to advance, for advanced manufacturing. So, but in reality, here's a, interesting map published by Eurasia Group. So, it's a AI dominance map. So, dark blue, this is really at the US, influence. So, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, we are pretty much under influence of the US, right? So the thing is that, combined with the other chart I showed you, so I think, US export control is quite efficient. If you're talking about AI technologies, right, certainly China has a very good open source AI model, but they don't have enough resources. So that's where we have an opportunity. So, certainly that there are a lot of things we can collaborate. Japan has a strength, the US and Taiwan has a strength, and Korea have a strength. But really, for us to protect us, protect democracy, what we have to do is really have maybe combined, combination of resources. All the big tech in the US, they have invested $260 billion this year alone to build the computational resources. It's almost impossible for any one of the nations to invest that kind of amount of money. But if three of us can combine and really build each own AI factory, and using fiber optics, you can do a distributed, computing. Maybe we can really, counterbalance. At least, there is a good chance that we have more computational resources than China, while that export control is being effective. So I think really, those are the things, we should be looking at. Certainly supply chain, certainly that's a foundational resources, to build our computational resources. But I think really, eventually, you will see the era very soon. It doesn't matter which foundation model you're using. Private model, open source model, or even from US or China. It's getting more agnostic. One of the companies in Japan, they are developing a middleware to choose the best foundational model for your application. But really, on top of it, more importantly, how each country or how each corporation can secure AI sovereignty. So what I mean by AI sovereignty is that, of course, algorithms, right? certainly that each country has its own culture. You really have to have your own, algorithms. So that's something you can do on the agentic level. And also there will be a new concept of the cognitive ontology. So instead of using AI agent to really come to a very optimized idea, you can really combine your culture, you can combine your own data, and you can really create your own agentic AI, which we can do separately. But we can really use the common, computational infrastructure. I think that's more realistic. So that's something I just wanted to know, wanted to tell you. Supply chain will not protect you. And again, that all three countries combined, our size of economy is not really that strong. So against economic coercions from China or from US, we're vulnerable. But still, if you're talking about the cyberspace, if you're talking about the geopolitics in the cyberspace, things could be, can look a little bit different. Also, I'd like to really talk about, this, Genesis mission, which is really announced right before Thanksgiving, by the way. So this is a, new Manhattan, project for U.S., right? Manhattan project that really we suffered. It's a nuclear bomb, project. So this is really 21st century of the Manhattan, project. So they're going to be using quantum accelerated computing for advanced manufacturing or accelerate the materials discovery or things like that. So, as Dr. Kwong presented, quantum is just around the corner. By 2029, you will get fault-tolerant, quantum computer. So today, we are talking about the GPU, CPU, we are talking about the lots of tokens, like 5 trillion tokens, every year. But once we get the quantum, you get the quantum tokens. That has, that can take from anywhere between 0 to 1. You can reduce a lot of tokens you're using a digital token, relative to digital tokens. So those kind of, discontinuous changes really happening. Again, this might be some opportunity. I think Japan is really, in Japan, we have a supercomputer called Fugaku. And right next to Fugaku, there is a most advanced IBM quantum computer is working. So we are really developing hybrid computation, and we are developing a middleware to really control GPU, CPU, QPU. And also on top of it, we are developing a lot of algorithms. I think this is going to be open source, and that can be shared among the three nations. So I think again, there is a good opportunity, and if you're really looking at a geopolitics in the cyberspace, the way we can protect our national security, or the way we can protect the democracy, that could be a little different. So thank you for your attention.
So Professor Park is going to discuss AI supply chain by looking at the idea of compute sovereignty. Thank you very much.
Hi. First, on behalf of the Korean team, we'd like to thank DSET for making this event possible. And we hosted the first trilateral dialogue in Seoul last year, and I remember how hard it is to prepare everything. And this year's meeting is much better in terms of hotel, food, and alcohol, so the three most important things in conference. So I'm very enjoying this conference and the presentation. So I'm going to talk about the AI strategy of South Korean government and cooperation. So my slide is three-part. I think that we all share the same kind of structure of the discussion, which is very nice. So I'm briefly talk about the common challenges we face, and then Korea's government's AI strategy next, and finally some thoughtful comment about the cooperation. So the global context, I think this topic has been covered by Mr. Lin and Mr. Hoshiba, and I'm focusing on the AI cloud side as a kind of a snapshot of the current structure of the AI landscape. So, you know, a lot of countries, not just the East Asia, but European and United States and China talk about the compute sovereignty. It has different name, but digital sovereignty, AI sovereignty, and why? Simple reason. So previously, you know, the industry focusing on the profit, and the government is making rule, but not directly intervene, right? But this time of year, most government use industrial policy to kind of strengthen their industry, AI industry. So the government ability to secure and control access to AI compute resources is called compute sovereignty. And why? Because they think AI autonomy, AI independence is really important. In other words, AI dependence, AI vulnerability could be really critical threat to the national security or economic security. That's why they invest the taxpayers' money in this industry. And there's three levels of kind of discussion: territorial jurisdiction, and cloud provider nationality, and AI accelerator vendor nationality. And we all know that in the third part, you know, the US is very dominant, and China is rapidly catching up to US. And number two, China and US is dividing the world. And in number one, those countries try to find the independence, autonomy. So that's the kind of landscape. So, this compute sovereignty, people might think that it is kind of raised by a small, medium-sized company. No, actually it started from the superpowers. United States CHIPS Act spent this much money to increase their capability in AI-related industry. European Union, United Kingdom, Canada, this is kind of a developed countries initiative. And why this is surprising? Because it's very opposite of 10 years ago consensus, which is called Washington Consensus. There's nothing like that. So this year, a developed country has very different idea about the economic development. And that's why we are facing different world one day. So what is the key driver? Compute demand doubling every 6 months for frontier AI, supply chain vulnerability from exposed by COVID pandemic, but also US-China competition. And number three, US-China tech competition reshaping global dependency. But don't take me wrong. Here, everything is occupied by US company and Chinese company, not because of their coercive diplomacy necessarily, but because of their efficiency. So countries rely on US technology, Chinese technology, because they are cost efficient, right? They performing better. So the other countries are falling behind in terms of this market competition, and these two giants use their market power and their state power to advance other countries. So I think this is very kind of a critical moment. And forecast the sovereign cloud spending will be much larger than in the future. So just looking at these 9 cloud providers, US, China, and Europe. And let's see how countries are dependent on in this area. So the color blue indicate that they are relying on their domestic provider. Only 2 countries. And all other countries are relying on foreign provider. Okay? And so if we look at the worldwide landscape, 33 countries host public cloud AI, and 24 countries have training relevant GPU. It's a very small number of countries are in this top group. And concentration is even more skewed. Like US has 26 cloud regions, China 22, Korea 4, Japan 4, Taiwan 1. And the chip vendor dependency is even more extreme, like 95% of accelerator-enabled cloud regions use NVIDIA chips. Not because of US coercion, but because of market efficiency. NVIDIA chips are very efficient and very powerful. Only US and China have domestic chip vendors, and most countries aligned in the sense, in AI sense, with the US at chip level. So if we kind of look at the countries based on what kind of provider they are using, so 18 countries has a single superpower provider. 12 countries use both US and China provider. And Korea, 3+1. Japan, 4 US. Taiwan, 1 US. And Singapore is a 3 US, 3 China. So don't take it too seriously, but it shows something. So for example, Korea these days use a lot of Alibaba Kuan model because it's very powerful and very efficient. And it is #1 downloaded platform in Hugging Face. So the China is really kind of moving ahead in terms of efficiency. And so this competition is partly political, partly economic. Okay, so the Korea AI strategy. I'm presenting this not because I want to advertise Korea government, but because emphasize what Korean government is doing is we can kind of transfer into what 3 governments do collectively to find the cooperation point. And also, we want to have the kind of a joint effort to increase each country's AI capacity. So the Korea AI strategy has 3 pillars: AI innovation ecosystem, nationwide AI transformation, AX, and global AI basic society. That means like each individual has a basic human right to have access, minimum access, basic access to the AI service. And we countries as a collective entity, we have to provide this level of service. So the first point, frontier AI model and science AI integration, we have these 3 sub-goals. And number 2 is manufacturing AI, MAX. We have this target, like a 500 AI factory by 2030. And important sector is auto, semiconductor, shipbuilding, chemical, and electronics. And this AI Basic Act, and we try to find a very transparent and inclusive AI regulatory framework that provide like a very, very kind of equal access of this computing power to the people around the world. And the target is this National AI Computing Center is SPC model. This is kind of in Korean 특수목적법인. So we are all Chinese character we are using all. So you can see SPC model. So you can think about government try to play a coordinator. So that we are going to invest the taxpayers' money, but that's not enough. So we are going to invite private sector money. But AI is such a, has a scalable economy, so we have to pull everything together. And the government will be playing the coordinating role to use this money effectively. So more than 70% will be private ownership, but this money, the government will initiate and make an infrastructure and invite private sector, the industry players into this SPC. So the key design feature, we are going to deregulate the hurdles, and the data infrastructure, we will make the data available, easily available to the, and make it transparent. Okay, and there's a human capital level. We are trying to find build a full-scale AI talent ecosystem from the the middle-level education and also higher-level education. We try to invite many people, many talented people from other countries, especially East Asian countries, using the various short-term or long-term visit program, and also researcher-friendly ecosystem. We try to kind of increase innovative activity in university and lab and research institute. Okay? And also public AX, I want to skip this part. Top 10 AI livelihood projects. So the benefit of AI the development should be shared equally among ordinary people, not just the small selected firms. And also AI should be reflected in the government efficiencies, so making the workflow more efficient. Like that. I think the most important focus these days is manufacturing AI, so sector-wide data integration and specialized AI model for this one, and AI-enabled embedded product is main focus of these days. And also we want to try this, this benefit is spilling over to the small and medium-sized enterprise by using some next to unicorn AI startup pipeline. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go over this part and then move to the final part, KJT AI cooperation. So why trilateral cooperation? Common challenge, I think it is covered by previous speakers, scale constraint, especially the number 3 part, venture capital shortage is really, really critical here, and human capital crisis all suffer from low fertility rate, brain drain, and technical education gap. And number 3, important part, the fiscal constraint. East Asian countries are suffer from the fiscal constraint, and we are spending like more than 30% of GDP in accumulating useless money, which is called foreign reserve, because we are having the exchange rate vulnerability. And number 4, AI ecosystem is, there is a huge gap compared to the US and China. So we all suffer from this common challenge. And as mentioned, this level of large market, the large industry benefit is concentrated in US and China. But think about our strengths and comparative advantage. The Korea, Japan, Taiwan has a remarkable comparative advantage in AI hardware value chain. And this hardware value chain comparative advantage or complementarity can be a really important stepping stone for the cooperation. Okay? And also, another thing we didn't mention in the conference is that we share democratic values. Why democracy is important? Because Korean government implementing this policy transparently and inclusively. So it's a very different, I think, a point from other authoritarian government. So transparency, accountability, and responsiveness is a really important kind of asset of democracies when they think about cooperation, because they can make a very credible commitment for the future. So strategic implication, we can build like a trust-based technology sharing using shared value and compatible regulatory framework and standard framework to reduce future friction. And we can think about private sector level trusted partner and build on that from there. So potential cooperation areas, AI hardware alliance, and shared compute infrastructure, and human capital mobility, and AI governance coordination. I think these 4, it will be the nicest starting point. We can, develop further ideas, okay? And expected gain, like as mentioned, 200 million population, startup business might find that this level of pooling is very efficient for launching their product, and combined GDP and pooled R&D investment, large talent pool, and supply chain resilience, and strategic autonomy, and also finally the innovation synergy is very, very promising, I think. So I think the trilateral cooperation has a lot to gain, and so it depends on the government initiative and also private sector creativity to materialize this possibility. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So now we only have 15 minutes for the discussion. And so I just want to, for the discussion, I think I want to do the other way around. So I think I'm going to start with Professor Park. So Mr. Lin talked about the business reality And Mr. Koshiba talked about the uneven distribution of resources. And Professor Park, you bring us a very specific goal to compute sovereignty. And you want us in this new world, there are compute haves and compute have-nots. And right now, even with all our hardware, we are dangerously close to becoming dependent client of the superpower. And I think because many of our audience are not really coming from the big tech backgrounds, that would you like to elaborate on what you mean by compute have and compute have-nots? And because I think within this context, you also mentioned Taiwan, South Korea, and Japan can cooperate to become the sort of the third pole in the global AI. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so I want to briefly mention about we have to study European, unification process to get a lot of insight. And I think Professor Kwon is more expert on this area, but think about ASML. ASML is like the most important strategic asset of European countries, not just the Dutch, not just Netherlands. And if you look at the ASML, it's not 100% Dutch technology or Dutch resources. It relies on other European countries' assets and resources in terms of human capital and technology. And now ASML becomes one of the most important assets of the European countries. So it's based on the Dutch company ASML, but optics are from Germany, like a Carl Zeiss company. And other, like a software development is based on the European human capital who are coming together into ASML to solve this problem. And final product was this EUB. So I think we can think about next level frontier company in East Asia based on this comparative advantage, taking maximum advantage of this comparative advantage and pooling talented people around East Asia to solve this like a big problem, like a quantum computing or probability computing, something like that. So I think this level of pooling is required to solve this AI, the challenges. Each individual country cannot, I think, is very, very limited. So I will, yeah.
Thank you. So Mr. Koshiba, related to the Japan's perspective, I think in your presentation, one of the very key ideas is strategic complementarity. And I think basically your argument is super practical because none of Taiwan, Japan, South Korea has a skill to compete with the US or China alone. So you sort of mentioned we should avoid the trap and imitation and not to copy Silicon Valley and should double down our specialization. But in your presentation, you also mentioned a problem with uneven distribution of resources within the world. So just based on that idea, how would you like to elaborate on the idea of strategic complementary in this context a little bit?
Yeah, sorry, I kind of changed my talk today.
Yeah, I know.
But certainly, there are strategic complementaries among the three nations. Something we should explore because we're on the same boat, and we just share the common values. Like democracy is one of the values we share. But the things I really want to say, kind of after changing my mind today, is that certainly that's important, but that will not protect us, right? That's what I just kind of want to say. There are a lot of common things, complementary things, we can do. But really, we are not like Europe. We are separated by ocean, right? So geoeconomic situation is different. So I think really for three countries to work together for the common goal to protect us, from coalitions, from just maintain democracy, we really have to, narrow the focus onto a few things. It's just too ambitious for us to really cover entire spectrum, like we are discussing today. So each nation has its own strength. We just work, as we are, but I think we really have to bring in a little different dimension by foreseeing the future, particularly geopolitics in cyberspace.
Maybe just one follow-up question. So, for Taiwan, what might be the things we should focus on, based on your suggestion?
Taiwan?
Yes.
Certainly, one thing I kind of hate to say, but Silicon Shield is something you cannot count on, right? Silicon Shield maybe something can be motivation for the other guys to really take it over. So I think Taiwan. My advice is that certainly we really have to be more mindful, not only Silicon but also really growth of economy, not only using TSMC but also other industry. But I think certainly it's not Silicon, but I think Hon Hai is really that doing an excellent job in the EMS, and maybe perhaps they can go into the EVs, and so really Taiwan, certainly Silicon is your strength, but really you really have to grow your economy, particularly one area you're behind is a quantum, right? So quantum is one area you're behind.
Thank you. So finally, Mr. Lin, you often point out very hard truths about our region. Yes, we are the king of manufacturing, but we make chips, but you also argue that's not enough. And you also, in your presentation, proposed the very idea of new Asian community of shared destiny. So now, but we know politics in this region is very tricky because some leaders want to stay very neutral. They want to say this is not really their problem. But you argue we don't have the luxury. So we are on the first island chain. So if something happens to one, it happens to all. Our security is very inseparable. And my question for you is, because you also mentioned the solution is to do value up, to have more product. What do you mean by product in this context? And what do you mean by value up in this context? Can you give just maybe one or two examples?
Okay. First, I will go back to the basic. When we are talking about a topic, Taiwan, Japan, and Korea, in my career of the interview, my conclusion is in these three countries, competition is much more than collaboration in the past. But in the last 5 years, because Japan just want to revive the manufacturing, so Japan and Taiwan, right now, we come together and we just to build the manufacturing capability in Japan. So I have been invited to Japan many times. I witness the complementary complementary collaboration between Japan and Taiwan. But Korea is always, they are very good. Right now, I just mentioned Korea is in memory. The market share is about more than 20%. And Korea is also the IDM model. They are very good at that area. But right now, I think if we want to come up a common value between these three countries, I was propose the value up. Yeah, because value up is the common value for the three countries. Right now, Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, he just talked about the AI industry. He said there are 5 layers cake in AI. The bottom is energy. and then the chip, and the upper one is infrastructure, and then the model, AI model, and then the application. So you can see the value is, the application and the AI model is much more valuable than the others. Right now in the chip industry, we also, Taiwan, Japan, and Korea, we also in the bottom layers in these industries. So I think we have to move up to the upper levels, just like not only chip industry, but also AI industry. Yeah. So I try to find our common values. Yeah. First, I say it's very difficult, but right now, maybe we have to hold many seminars to talk. Maybe this is first time I have been here, and I know a lot of friends, old friends and new friends, but we need more talks, more seminars, more touch to talk about this topic. Yeah, because right now, I don't know the consensus or the common value. We will, maybe there is no consensus between the three countries, but we need to work hard to come up these values. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, and thank you for all the speakers who contribute to this panel, and thank you for all the audience participating in this event. So I think that's the end of our panel. Oh, I think we can get maybe one or two questions from the audience. I'm really sorry. We still have 5 minutes, right? We still have 5 minutes. 5 minutes, yes. So we can take heads. Maybe we can take two questions together. Yes, please.
This is Jun Hui-ji from Oregon State University. My question for the panel is regarding AI governance, both domestic and international. How can three countries collaborate to facilitate and democratize AI governance? This is because the complexity and technological orientation of AI makes it difficult for the average people to understand, and there's a risk of becoming a technocracy rather than democracy. So how can we collaborate to make AI a democracy enhancing rather than undermining?
Okay, one more question. Can we take one more question from you?
Sorry, I just want to rephrase that question that I asked in the last session. That I think there's a slide in Japan Scholars that the AI's deployment ratio in different polarity.
Hear you. Can you just put your microphone closer?
Oh, the AI's deployment ratio between from USA to China and the mixture. We talks a lot about how we increase the infrastructure, and maybe that would become a expanding business to Asia and other countries. But we help build those infrastructure. But if the AI model, the base foundation model that are running in those data centers that actually now is growing like Alibaba Qianwen or DeepSeek, is that something that we want? And so I think that co-work on foundation model and the application of it probably is also one thing that we could think of, especially when DSET, you have a lot of social scientist people rather than technology people. So maybe that direction is also something worth digging. Thank you.
So maybe we will invite Professor Pa to answer the first question. How can we make sure the use of AI that stick to the democratic values?
Wow, that's a very difficult question. So I think we need a lot of creative, thinking about how AI is not just for some small selected group of company or people. So when we talk about AI, we try to find a kind of national hero or genius. But I think the more important part is that how are we going to kind of diffuse this AI technology for the benefit of society as a whole? I think that's a kind of that should be the main goal at the end. So I think the most important part is that how are we going to educate people in their, the primary and the secondary and higher education. So a lot of universities now facing the challenges from AI technology because students use AI in one way or another, but we are not kind of 100% competent about how we're going to accept this culture. So we have to think about how we're going to admit AI technology in education and use AI for the benefit of better education. Another thing is how we're going to re-educate the people who are dislocated from the labor market. How can we retrain them as an AI kind of a competent labor force and make them re-enter the market? And so this education and re-education is really important part. And each country can cooperate in terms of university education and primary education, and we can think about the three nation the Olympiad or something to test and to standardize our education in AI and university exchange program. So I think there are a lot of things they can do using creative initiative by either side. Okay.
Thank you for your questions. Please join me in giving the panelists a big round of applause. Now it's the time for the moment everyone's been waiting for, lunch. We have provided meal and refreshments for you to enjoy. For all our participants, please make your way to the registration table to pick up your lunch. And for our VIP guests, please make your way to the VIP room for your lunch. Thank you.